have a conversation.
The rules of that, Mr. Chairman.
I am tired of it. Tonight, we'll dig into the harsh tone of our politics.
Pardon? That you just be quiet.
Well,
you
why?
be quiet.
See how we pulled apart and what it may take to bring us together. Plus, we'll put Mayor Rick Kriseman on the hot seat in the St. Pete race for mayor. And we showed state lawmakers how they're pumping money that's supposed to fight poverty into high-end resorts.
High crime? Flight?
So we're asking why they're still doing it after we brought it to their attention.
It's a loser for the state.
This is Money, Power, and Politics.
Well, there's an old saying in politics that there are only two things in the middle of the road: highway stripes and roadkill.
And if he wins, they win.
And now we're on the path to becoming a nation of extremists, in which the right side describes the left side as dangerous fanatics out to destroy their way of life. Real ad, Exhibit A.
Now the unhinged left is endorsing and applauding shooting Republicans. When will it stop? It won't if John Ossoff wins on Tuesday.
And a nation of extremists in which the left side describes the right side as dangerous fanatics out to destroy their way of life. Real ad, Exhibit B.
Religious fanatics try to take away our freedom in Afghanistan, in Iran, and right here in Central Florida. Daniel Webster wants to impose his radical fundamentalism on us.
Submit to me.
Taliban Dan Webster, hands off our bodies.
And so we've regressed from having disagreements, which our founding fathers would have wanted.
You! No, it's not it's
to being disagreeable, which would make them feel ashamed. And it cuts both ways.
But he made a deal with the devil. She's the devil. He made a deal with the devil.
After Trump called his opponent the devil and a founder of ISIS then wins the White House, guess where that leaves the politicians who once said name-calling has no place in public life? So you've said name-calling has no place in public life. So have you told Donald Trump at least to stop people calling names like Crazy Bernie and Goofy Warren and calling Hillary Clinton the devil?
Look, Donald Trump and I have different styles, but we have exactly the same goals and exactly the same convictions.
But does Donald Trump calling Hillary Clinton, quote, the co-founder of ISIS, strike you as in any way incendiary or inflammatory or any way over the top?
There is no question the failed leadership of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in the wider Middle East created the conditions in which ISIS was created.
And by extension, you're okay with using the term co-founder of ISIS when talking about Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, Craig, there is no question.
And that's exactly how both sides stoke conflict and confrontation. They hurl firebombs, then dodge questions with repetitive sound bites. It's also how Marco Rubio can justify supporting a president he called a con artist who can't be trusted with nukes. How can you say that Donald Trump cannot be trusted with the nuclear codes and with that concern still be willing to vote for him?
Well, for me, the primary is over and the voters have chosen their nominees, and so it's a binary choice.
But with Trump, you're worried about nuclear codes, which would heighten the risk of the end of the world. Does that not override the concerns you have about Hillary Clinton?
No, my concerns aren't just about issues. Hillary Clinton is the only person running for president who has mishandled and misused classified information.
But you've said that you stand by your concerns about Trump not being trusted with the nuclear codes. Does that mean you think there would be a heightened risk of a nuclear attack with Trump as opposed to Clinton?
Again, I'm telling you that Hillary Clinton is the only person running for president that's mishandled classified information.
And again, it's both sides, Democrats and Republicans. They all dodge questions and hurl insults.
You want to see Goofy? Look at him in that hat.
And that encourages their followers on both sides, who are not keyed into issues often, to hurl insults on social media as well. And so the whole political discourse spirals down the gutter. You wind up with a lot of people who just come across as comically ill-informed and cranky, which you may have noticed inspired one of the characters on our show.
Carmen, the cranky camera operator, she hates everything. I gotta go balance out with Carmen. Come on. This is what you do during my segment?
I thought we locked you in the mailroom.
No. I got a key.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
standing
Carmen.
by. Right, I'm standing by.
Carmen.
No, I'm standing by. Standing by.
Cranky, Carmen.
Okay, what?
Carmen, quick question. I just need some balance in my life. Everything was very positive in the mailroom. I just need to know, what do you think of money, power, politics?
Never seen it.
It's the show it's a show you're shooting right now. You shoot it every night.
I mean, Craig's okay, but anytime you come on, I just turn it off.
You may have also noticed we model a lot of the skits in our show to reflect the harsh tone of our politics.
Objection, hearsay.
Objection, argumentative.
Objection, leading the witness.
Objection, I have no witness.
Objection, lack of foundation.
Objection, badgering.
Objection, glasses and beard combo.
Objection with that tie. Who are you kidding? It doesn't match his coat.
And we try to bring down the temperature by sometimes having fun with a system that drives people mad. Hello, this is Craig. Yeah, Mr. Trump? Yeah, I'll be right there. Bye.
Wow. He gets the coolest phone calls. Oh, look at that. He left his email up. Well, Craig's a pretty busy guy. I'll help him. I'll help him return his emails. All right, let's see.
But wait, Mr. Trump!
Mr. Trump, hey,
these idiots on television.
He just left.
Give me a break.
He just left.
He's watching the Charlie Belcher bit. He wasn't very happy about it.
What Belcher bit?
The one that's on TV right now.
It's on now?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Making fun of you.
Oh,
you're fired.
But in the coming weeks, we will take a very serious look at the dysfunction and the divisive, corrosive tone of our politics. We're producing a series of investigations to show when and how we got to this point and what we could do to diffuse it and encourage civility. And we'll bring in members of both camps who have fought in the trenches for perspective. And that brings us to tonight's Spotlight.
Sick and tired of you guys. The last guy that came in here, you did the same thing.
Okay, well, that was sound of Greg Gianforte breaking a reporter's glasses after he body slammed that reporter for asking a question about health care the day before the election.
This is assault by purposely or knowingly causing bodily injury to another.
And of course, we know what happened next. He won a seat in Congress. So we're here now with Republican former Congressman David Jolly. What does that tell you about the state of our politics?
He should not have been elected, but it tells us a lot about him as a candidate and a person. It also tells us, though, about the voters. I think both sides have contributed to it. We know that. Frankly, the President of the United States got elected with very strong rhetoric and trying to appeal to people's emotion and kind of their felt needs as opposed to perhaps their real needs, which are the policies that get debated in the halls of Congress and in Washington. It's unfortunate, and I think we all need to do better. Listen to our better angels.
Give us your best guess, prediction on what will happen to the Senate plan on health care reform.
If the Senate can't pass a version, then repeal's dead. And I think what you're seeing is the Senate leader, Mitch McConnell, try to weave that perfect balance that keeps moderates on board with conservatives. They only have 52 votes, so they need a perfect bill or this thing's dead.
We're going to bring you back next week for much more. David Jolly, thank you for your time. Now we're going to call out state government in tonight's We the People.
Politicians say they can bring these deserted buildings back to life and revive struggling neighborhoods by pumping our tax money into places that need help the most. But this is the story of why you can't always trust what they say.
They should feel ashamed.
That's former State Senator James Hargret, our tipster. He wrote the law that gives tax credits to companies that hire people in blighted, high-crime neighborhoods. And he told us we might want to look into it.
You know, this business isn't doing as great as it should be because of what goes on in this town.
Well, folks like Mike Graves will tell you all about the crime in his part of town.
Not too long ago, there was a shooting right over here.
But under the current rules, he cannot get those high crime zone tax credits no matter how many people he hires or how terrible the crime may be.
Oh, it's terrible. It's people getting drunk, acting out all the time, fighting all the time. It's just insane.
Doesn't matter, because politicians decide where to put the high crime zones. And they cut out distressed neighborhoods through Tampa Bay and all across the state and put the biggest zone in the heart
Volcano Bay is now open!
of Orlando's tourist district. And that's how they steer millions intended to fight poverty and blight into theme parks and high-end resorts.
There's nothing going on here other than tourism shops.
And so the same place Florida promotes as a world-class, kid-friendly vacation getaway is also mired in extreme levels of poverty, deterioration, and crime, at least for tax purposes.
Here, I don't know, I feel safe.
Only in Florida can people travel to a designated crime zone to feel safe.
Oh, it's a nice area. Yeah, it's a really nice area here.
It's not a high crime zone. Blighted high crime zone?
No, no, of course not.
And so tax credits to clean up blight go to upscale department stores and luxury car dealerships, resorts, and theme parks. Universal picked up $2.2 million in high crime zone tax credits last year to build its new water park.
So it would have been like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Also in 2014, the state approved $30,000 for Orlando's Perfume Land. And watch what happens when we ask about their high crime zone tax credits.
This is a great place to visit. You have all the great attractions around us, and more importantly, you have great shopping as well. So everyone is welcome to come and visit.
No longer a blighted high crime zone.
No, that's not the way we view it.
And when we viewed it just beyond the high crime zone, we found more nice restaurants, chic boutiques, ballet school, and stogies, and gated communities with multi-million-dollar homes.
Since you've owned this business, since you've worked here, have you seen any drug deals around here?
I wouldn't. No, I've not seen drug deals around here.
Shootings?
Nope, not around here. But
Stabbings?
No, no stabbings.
Jessica Harnett has worked here for some 8 years and says she knows the area pretty well.
You definitely pay for what you get.
Is there high crime on the golf courses?
Not on the golf courses, but we have seen where there's securities and there's security gates in these neighborhoods, but people are coming off from the lakes and on top of the golf courses to come into the neighborhood.
Oh, so there's trespassing?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Well, there's that.
Yes, there's trespassing.
Now, compare that to business owners around Tampa Bay who can't get help.
They did put her in the cooler.
Put her in the cooler?
Yeah, yes.
Christine Vasconcelos' store was robbed twice.
A drug deal happening right in front of you, right in front of the store, or just getting held up. I mean.
You think that's bad? The folks over in the high crime zone actually had some people trespassing on the golf course.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
We showed all this to Florida's House Speaker, and he said it's an outrage.
We need to create more entrepreneurs in those spaces, not just hand out tax giveaways to big Fortune 500 companies. The second thing is we don't even go back and reevaluate. So when Universal does go in there and they build and they change that community, and now is it still high crime? We haven't even measured and looked at crime statistics prior to their entry and after their entry to see if that credit should even be in existence anymore. And obviously it shouldn't. It's a loser for the state.
But guess what happened after he scolded this tax credit deal? The legislature just kept it going. And to this day, the state feeds money into tourist resorts to fight poverty, while a lot of struggling neighborhoods don't get a dime.
High crime? Blight? Anybody blight?
Now, coming up, we'll put St. Pete Mayor Rick Kriseman to the test. And then in our Wastebusters segment, we'll show you how the feds blew a fortune on forest camouflage in the desert.
St. Petersburg Mayor Rick Kriseman is in the fight of his political life. Former two-term Mayor Rick Baker is trying to take him down and get his old job back. Please check out our YouTube channel for our interview with Rick Baker. Search for Craig Patrick's Money, Power, and Politics and click subscribe. But tonight, it's Mayor Rick Kriseman's turn to take our hot seat.
Well, Mayor Kriseman, thank you for joining us.
It's nice to be here with you today.
And in the interest of disclosure here, your challenger, Mayor Baker, appointed me to two nonpartisan commissions, the City Beautiful Commission and Planning Commission, during the Baker years when you served on City Council. Thank you again for joining us. First question, if you had to choose between your own personal beliefs and the financial best interest of the city, which do you choose?
You've got to, if you're the mayor, you choose the city. You have to.
Then how do you square the decision to allow an ordinance on campaign finance reform to advance, to not stop it, when your own administration believes that it's unconstitutional and could cost the city millions of dollars in legal fees if challenged in court?
Well, the answer to that is that we've been speaking with these groups that have brought this forward and that are going to be providing legal assistance throughout the entire process. And what we've said to them is if you're going to ask us to go forward, we're going to expect something from you. And one of the things that we're going to expect from you is that if a suit gets filed, and certainly our hope is that suit doesn't get filed against us and the ordinance doesn't get challenged. But if the ordinance gets challenged, our expectation is that you all are going to step up and you're going to start raising the funds necessary in the event we weren't successful.
You have written that St. Petersburg would be a sanctuary from harmful federal, you say, immigration laws, and that St. Pete police won't stop people suspected of being here illegally. Is that not a decision, though, you should leave to law enforcement?
Well, what I said is that we believe and we support those cities that are sanctuary cities. I've been very clear that St. Pete technically cannot be a sanctuary city. Now, what our officers have clearly been instructed to do is if someone violates the law, they will be arrested. What they're not going to do is they're not going to go out looking for someone who is not registered.
So the city closed the Albert Whitted sewage plant in 2015. Then come heavy rains last year that swamped the system, winds up pumping nearly $200 million gallons of sewage into the bay. You said that did not pose a risk to public health. Do you stand by that assertion?
Yeah, what I said is that it wasn't raw sewage that was discharged from the Albert Whitted Basin. It was partially treated. The reason that we felt that there wasn't a long-term risk is the bacteria levels, which are the fecal bacteria, which is really what puts you and I at risk if we ingest that. Those levels were 99.97% free of fecal coliform.
Knowing what you now know, surely you would have kept the Albert Whitted plant open.
You know, had the Albert Whitted plant been open, it would have mitigated the quantity.
So you surely would have kept it open, right?
Well, yeah, if we had known what we knew now, yeah, that plant would have been open. But
so why not consider reopening it today? We're in hurricane season already.
Well, we had a study done of that plant in order to determine how long would it take us to reopen it and what's the cost to reopen it. And what we found out was between the cost and how long it would take, it made more sense. We'd get a quicker response and a bigger bang for our buck if we invested in increasing the capacity at Southwest and at Northwest and beginning to work on I&I inflow and infiltration of our pipes, our manhole covers, our cleanouts, our laterals. If we invested in those right away, we'd get a quicker fix of the system for the short term. But we haven't ruled Albert Whitted bringing it back online. That's going to be part of our master plan. And by the way, there's never been a master plan done of our sewer system, never. And there hadn't been a master plan done of our stormwater system in almost 23 years. There's no reason that should have ever happened. We're fixing it.
Former Mayor Baker has attacked you for going over budget on the Pier project and the St. Pete Police Headquarters project. Do you regret going over budget on either one of those projects?
I'm interested to see the math and how he's calculating that. I know he said we're something like $35 million over on the pier. We're in budget on the pier. We're in budget on the first phase of our waterfront master plan, which is directly adjacent to the pier. And we're in budget on the police station. What I have a feeling he's doing, but I don't know. Until he tells us how he's calculating that, there's no way for us to know, but he's probably putting together multiple projects and calling it one.
Mayor Kriseman, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, coming up, would Russia really shoot down a U.S. warplane over Syria? And what really happened to Otto Warmbier, the young man who died after coming back from North Korea in a coma? Okay, we're here now with retired Colonel E.J. Otero, former Director of Intelligence Operations at CENTCOM. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the young man who came back from North Korea in a coma and died. Best and guess what happened.
Mishandling of drugs to keep him asleep, to keep him less anxious, whatever it was, and it killed his brain. And it was total incompetence within an environment, I would like to think that it is within, because that's the standard for North Korea, within an environment of torture.
We have a growing crisis in Syria, and now Russia says it will treat U.S. warplanes as targets. Does that mean Russia could shoot down a U.S. jet?
The Russians know that they would have a difficult time shooting an American jet.
Well, it was the Wicked Witch of the West who said we can make accidents happen too, I believe. Do you think Russia may do this?
The Russians are very good at designing accidents. They could do that. They could certainly...
Will they?
They could. I don't think they will. I don't think they will, because any engagement right now with the way the American military policy is that if you touch an American soldier, an American airman, you're going to feel the repercussions. There's going to be a retaliation.
What if once more Syria targets coalition forces and we shoot down that jet?
The Russians would get on TV and
hollow threats.
Demarches State Department to Foreign Ministry, and that would be it.
Retired Colonel Joe Otero, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Coming up, federal inspectors rip the Pentagon for wasting millions on something that could put our allies in danger. Tonight in Waitbusters, Afghanistan. We're fighting a war on terror in desert and mountain terrain, but federal inspectors say Afghanistan's defense minister thought woodland camouflage looked pretty, and so he bought it for his army. The inspector general said this puts our partners there in danger because when they wear woodland pattern uniforms in the desert, they stand out instead of blend in. And the Afghans picked a special woodland design the military does not own, so that cost an extra $28 million for the rights to use it. And since 2007, we've spent more than $90 million on forest camouflage for the Afghan army. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again next week for another round of Money, Power, and Politics right here on Fox 13. Take care.